get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll put it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you, Missy? Are you at work? Okay, we're going to cover a case. Her name is Sandra. Hold on. Let me get her face up here. Very sad case. This is Sandra Birchmore. Okay. This has to do with the Canton and North Fork County case. These are 3 cops here, and allegedly they groomed her, and the guy at the top allegedly got her pregnant. Okay. And there's a video I'm going to show. He was the last one to see her. He was having sex with her, and they said it was suicide, but it, you know that doctor from HBO, Michael, God, what's his name? That very famous one in New York, I think, New York. Bolden? Michael Bolden? It was suicide. It wasn't suicide. It was homicide. So let's read this here. You're at work? I know. You're always at work. But that's good though, you know? All right. There's a petition here. This was started February 1st, 2023. You know what? I'm just giving you guys a rundown, the reading of it, because this case is new to me. However, it has to do with the Canton Police Department, so I'm on it. Okay. So much corruption out there. Unbelievable. Okay, allegedly, I'm not sure 100%, the FBI is involved in the case now. Okay, she was 23 years old. She was 3 months pregnant, living in Canton. and working as a teacher assistant. February 1st, 2021, Matthew Farewell, he's that copy, okay, was captured on surveillance camera entering her apartment building in a dark hoodie with a mask. 28 minutes later, Matthew was seen leaving the elevator hooded with mask at 4 minutes before 10. Birchmore confided if anything happened to her, it was Matthew. Matthew was a detective with Stratton Police Department. He was also married with children. Okay, see, now I understand. The cop was from Stratton, but the Canton Police Department, and I think Albert is in there. Allegedly, okay. Anyways, since she lived in Canton, okay, they investigated it. He was also married with children. Birchmore had told people her baby was Matthew's. Matthew told Sandra to take care of it or he would. Jeez. Matthew was the last person to see Sandra alive. Matthew, his brother William, and Robert, all officers with Stratton PD, were found to have been grooming and exploiting Sandra since she was a teenager and had contacted her via Facebook Messenger February 1st, 2021. Oh my God. And you know what, people? Sometimes people say, oh, that didn't happen, this and that. It's more common than we think what these bad police officers do to people. I mean, come on. I mean, since she was 15. Okay, she was found in an apartment bedroom with the door closed and was deemed to be unaliving herself. However, most people have never seen an unalive in this way. Her lanyard tied to a closet doorknob. Her death and the death of her unborn baby were not investigated as a potential homicide. This is a call to action to demand a proper investigation to understand the suspicious death of Sandra. Criminal charges statutory are by police officers. Okay. How sad is that? I'm going to show you guys now. Let me get back to StreamYard here. I'm going to show you the video of him leaving her apartment. Where is it? Sandra. There we go. I think this is her. How sad was that? Her last moments. Did you see how Matthew hit himself? He tried to cover himself very well. Okay, we're gonna watch some. Okay, hold on. We're gonna watch some like interviews. Yes, it does. And I got some court documents. They did like an investigation internal, and they said they didn't find anything.
Robert Ancelotti. He's a retired chief of detectives from Bergen County, New Jersey. Okay, Robert, I'm really confounded here because I'm sort of confused about two crimes in two jurisdictions. There's one police department where these allegations that 3 cops were passing this kid around and sexually abusing her, right? And then there's this other police department that is investigating her death from a so-called suicide that now one of the best in the business says was not a suicide at all. Where do we go from here? Should cops who are so close to these communities really be investigating this?
So that's always, Ashley, first, thanks for having me on. Second, always a big question, right? The public demands answers. A lot of, over the years, our internal affairs process is geared towards the idea that police should be policing their own. We should be able to clean up our own backyard, so to speak. But in more recent times, especially in the wake of George Floyd, I think increasingly the public demands independent outside investigations to ensure the integrity of the outcome of these types of cases. So in this instance, I think you have the Massachusetts State Police that are involved. You have Stoughton that's involved with the internal affairs investigation into the grooming and sexual assault of this young girl. And then you have Canton with the death investigation. So
but what about FBI? Here. Like, that's what I go to, right? I even think state police at this point maybe might be too close. Like, and there is where the FBI is looking at this, and they don't talk. It's really hard to find out where they are with this case. But it feels like this should be only a job now for the FBI, given that we've got 2 jurisdictions. And P.S. something that really bothers me is that the Stoughton police chief today, not involved in any of this, right? She's new. She's upset about this. She thinks the highest level should be investigating this. And these 3 officers were never charged with any of these grooming allegations, even though she says it looks like it happened. And I'm wondering if they weren't charged with it because she's dead. Like, they've got text messages, but they don't have the actual victim.
Yeah, so it sounds like it didn't come to light until after the death of this young girl. And of course, there's an old saying in the criminal justice world, no victim, no crime. But I would argue that in this case, if they really do have the evidence via text message and there really is.
Okay, yeah, from my understanding, there are text messages between them. Just saying.
Even if it's circumstantial, there is a case to be brought, at least against Matthew Farwell, who, by all accounts, began having sex with this girl when she was 15 years old. That's statutory rape. It's that simple. Statutory rape is a per se violation. That is a strict liability violation. It does not matter whether you believe she was underage, not. It's just a strict liability. You either did or did not. If you can prove that he had sex with her when she was 15 years old, he's guilty.
Yeah. And by the way, there are the text messages saying so. But here's the thing. He's also on video, the last person likely to have seen her going into her apartment and coming out of her apartment. I think he's in there for around 20 minutes. And then she's found mysteriously dead, barely hanging with, the hyoid bone is problematic. It looks like it's not a suicide. I'm going to have you back because I kind of feel like there's a lot of noise on this case now, especially since the Karen Reed case was so close. And I feel like this march is probably going to generate some heat. So we'll have to have you back to see if anything actually comes of it. Thanks for doing that.
Who are these cops that think that they can do whatever they want and they could hurt people in our forms, like R them, SA them, unalive them? Who do they think they are? They are no better than us. I'm sorry. There's good cops, but these bad cops, I'm telling you, I don't trust none of them. Not one cop. None. They're all bad to me right now.
That's tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ashley.
Robert Ancelotti joining us live tonight, chief of detectives, retired from Bergen County. And I want you to know, like, if you or anybody you know has been a victim of sexual assault, there's help available anytime. Just check these numbers out. Take a picture of your screen, the National Sexual Assault Hotline, 1-800-656-46 888-73 or 1-800-656-HOPE. Again, take a picture of the screen.
Boy, this really got to me. Dang. All right. Oh, God. Here is another one. Police department filled Sandra, social media sleuth. Okay, let's see what this is about.
If you're driving less than 50 miles a day and you have automatic headlights, you...
Okay, I want to bring in Melissa Berry now. Melissa Berry runs the Justice for Sandra Birchmore Facebook page, which has almost 10,000 members. Melissa, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I am so perplexed by this story. I still can't get my head around why they don't think they have enough to go after these 3 guys and any of the others that are alleged to have had underage sex with this young girl. But you just heard, as you know, Caitlin Becker reported, we're talking about 2 potential sets of criminal activity, the child rape and then also a potential murder. Why is it, other than this hyoid bone being broken in her neck, which might suggest that it's not suicide, why is it that many others believe that Sandra did not take her own life, that she was indeed murdered instead?
Well, I appreciate you having me on today. Because the manner of how her hanging was, she wasn't hanging from like a pole or something. She was actually in a fully seated position. The ligature was tied around her neck and around the door handle, very tight. And that's usually a type of manner of death that prisoners kill themselves, not a young woman of 23. Usually people who hang themselves, they're elevated. She was fully seated, and just the circumstances of him leaving and how he came, and he was the last person to see her, the way he came in with the mask on, hood up, and baseball cap, head down. It was very suspicious how he came in and out of her building.
And we should be really clear here that Sandra did not seem to indicate to any of her friends that she was displeased about being pregnant. It seems to me she was actually preparing, and it seemed that she was excited. What do you know about that?
Yeah, she was telling anyone who would listen that she was pregnant. She was excited. She was buying a carriage. She bought a baby seat that actually got delivered the night that she died. And she also was buying tons of baby clothes. She was calling old friends, high school friends, and telling them that she was pregnant. She was absolutely excited to have this baby. So that's another reason why a lot of people don't think that she did commit suicide.
And she had told friends of hers that it was indeed Officer Matthew Farwell, a married man, much older than she. She was telling friends he was the father?
Yes, and she was also telling co-workers that he was the father.
Co-workers as well. All right, so now the connection to the Karen Reed case, because we're in the same geographical area, all of these towns together. Is there any other crossover with the Karen Reed case to Sandra Birchmore's case?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of police officers the same from the Canton PD, like Michael Lank. There's state troopers that are the same DA, so there's a lot of crossover because it's the same, she died in the same town as Officer O'Keefe. And so it's the same people who were investigating her case. It's different lead officers, but it's still the same Massachusetts State Police unit that investigated both cases. So there's a lot of crossover.
It's bizarre. So, with all of the Facebook group, and, a lot of times folks who are in social media, they can do a lot of harm if they get a little too aggressive, but they can also unearth some things. Has it been helpful? Have there been any clues in this Facebook group? And if not, what is everybody hoping for in this case that seems cold, but we know it's not?
Well, I've been gathering information on this case for a little over a year and a half, and I have been talking to family, friends, and people are just coming forward saying they didn't believe that she thought she killed herself, that people didn't believe that they thought she killed herself, and that, they want to make sure that justice is done for Sandra and her baby, because she deserves that in death, that she is treated better than she was treated in life by these officers. The police department failed Sandra. We need them to pick up the slack and actually stand up for Sandra. And right now they're not.
And you know what? I want to just mention, as we look at that video, and I'm going to ask our control room to play it again, of Matthew Farwell coming in and out of Sandra's apartment in the days before she was discovered dead. He was apparently there for about 20 minutes. And as you can see, he walks in, he walks out, but his story was that he was there to end the relationship. That's what he told the police. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News.
Okay. So they got a lawsuit going on, a civil lawsuit. Let's watch this.
Turn to you when I'm confused about cases like this, because you know so much. I mean, you've just done so many years, I dare say decades, investigating this kind of thing. When you looked over the details of this case, what stood out to you, and what do you see as potentially happening now that the Klieg lights are on this case?
Well, actually, first of all, it's not unusual for people that are very disgusted with what's gone on to kind of have this grassroots effort. And we have seen cases, you and I have both discussed cases where it's the public that's brought it to the attention of the police departments, of other institutions. And that's what we're seeing here. So what stands out? Who knew that she was having sex with these men while she was underage? Did she tell anybody? Did she let anybody know that she was being molested? Was she upset? Did she want to go to the police? Did she not go to the police because she was working with the police? And certainly in these explorer situations, most of the police departments do engage in these kind of programs. And so these kids are so excited to be working there that the last thing they want to do is then turn around and report a police officer who's mistreating them. And that's what we're seeing here. Now we're seeing all of these text messages. We're hearing all these witnesses saying, we knew that she was having sex with these older police officers. Why didn't anybody do anything at the time? Why is it taking it now when she's not here to kind of figure out whether or not charges can be brought? And that's what you're seeing now, this overall investigation. It's not going to be investigated directly by that agency because there's a conflict of interest. We know that. Even though somebody new has come in, you still have a lot of the officers that were there at the time. So I'm sure they're bringing in maybe even the Department of Justice, the FBI, to go over all of the evidence that they now have based on the civil lawsuit and based on these messages and the witness statement. So it's a wait and see. I wish I had the answer to tell you why they didn't do something. I have no idea.
And we have the sex crimes, but now we also have an allegation from the family that this may have been murder. And then Dr. Michael Baden coming in and looking at the files. He did not look at the body. Apparently she was cremated. He can't look at the body, but from the files, he says that hyoid bone was broken, and that does not happen in a hanging. So he says this is more like a murder than a hanging. Stacey, I'm going to call you back when we get more details on this. Do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Ash.
Always love talking to Stacey. I just want to make sure that, this is always tough. This conversation is tough. So I like to do this at the end of this kind of a report.
My heart is so heavy listening to all this. Okay. We are going to look at some documents. Hold on. I was going through these documents. Oh. Which later we'll do more. You want to know why? This is why. Okay, this is the investigation into Matthew Farwell, William Farwell, and Robert Devine. Let's see, it's 14 pages. Let's see, what's this one? Okay, I want to see the date. I got to get this right. This is the lawsuit. When was the lawsuit started? Hold on. 2022. And this is voluntary decertification agreement. And this is the findings from the police department. Okay. On February 5th, I'm not going to read it all because you guys see 60 pages. 60. There's no way we can get through all that right now. I just want to start focusing on this case, bringing attention to it now. I think the Karen Reed case helped. Okay, on February 5th, 2021, they conducted this investigation into Sandra's death, possible violations of policies, procedures. Let's see. I'm just going to skim through this because there's some names in here. All right. Canton, please. See, they blacked out a lot Okay, hold on. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. Maybe it's not in here. All right. I don't trust that police department. Oh, where did I see it? Okay, Officer Divine. Oh, I thought it was in here. Shoot, it is in here, but I'm not going to go through all 60 pages right now. However, it says here. Okay. Albert's name is in here, by the way. That's what I'm getting at right here. He was part of this investigation, and he shouldn't have been. In my humble opinion. I don't know if she was cremated. It's about time this case is being spoken out. Yep. Yep. I want. Do you see how they act? Okay, I know a lot of people don't like Turtle Boy, right? But look at, he was minded his own, and they came at him like they were the Sopranos. Albert and Proctor, yes. This poor girl, you know, she looks so innocent. Look at her. And I'm going to keep putting her face out there with these cops. Yep. Keep their faces out there. Grooming that girl. Look at how young she looked. She looks like a teenager to me. Very pretty girl. All right. Let's take this down real quick. Let me get back to the documents here. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let's look at this lawsuit. I want to see the lawsuit here. Hold on. We'll get to it. Okay, it's 14 pages, but let's just take a look at it. All right. Okay. Complaint and demand for jury trial. Nature of action. This action was brought by plaintiff Darlene Smith, the representative estate of Sandra, for wrongful death, neglect, negligent supervision, retention, pain and suffering, emotional distress against the defendants, Matthew, William, and Robert. Okay, he says where they work, about the misconduct that led to the loss of her. Okay. Matthew, Robert, and William undertook to engage in inappropriate relations with Sandra, who was a minor when the sexual relationship began. Abusing her trust and adoration, whatever that means, of law enforcement, which there were inappropriate and undue influence, ultimately led her to allegedly took her life. And I don't believe that. Nope. Seeing that cop go in there, yeah, and the hymen bone being broke, she was strangled, in my humble opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm nothing like that. I'm just giving my opinion. So let's see here. What else? They talk about the parties. All right. Oh, this is sad. Canton PD responded to a welfare check at her house from her employee who had not reported to work for several days. During the welfare check of Sandra was discovered pronounced dead at the scene by responding paramedics. At the time of her death, upon information of belief, Sandra was 3 months pregnant with her first child, allegedly by one of the officers. Okay. Her death was accumulation of near decade-long scheme of grooming and repeated SA from a young age by certain police officers employed by the PD. From her youth, suffered from a difficult home life. She struggled as a child with the loss of a grandmother and mother. Oh, sad. And as she grew up, dealt with some mental and emotional problems from which she sought psychological care from adolescence to adulthood. Despite these issues, Sandra deeply respected authority figures, most notably police officers. As a result of the admiration, she joined the Stoughton Police Department Explorers Program. Oh boy. Okay, this is 14 pages here. Let's see. Count 1, wrongful death. I'm just going to look at the counts, you guys. And when I got more time, we'll go through it. Count 2, negligence. Negligent hiring. What else? 5, negligent supervision. Assault and battery. Infliction of emotional distress. Emotional distress. Wow. I hope these cops, their faces are out there. I'm going to keep her face out there. This is disgusting. Oh my God, this is so sad. She lost her grandmother and mother. She was a lost little girl. They took advantage of that. Allegedly. I got to say that. Oh my God, I'm so sad. Well, there's text messages. So if you did not do anything, Karen, yeah. Oh my God. It is. They did. That's sick. And then the cop had to admit that was him walking in there, trying to hide with his hood up, with the mask on. He went there to call it quits. You're the last one in there, buddy. Their faces are out there now. I'm glad this case is now being exposed. Finally, I think I seen something with her mother. Oh, I can't remember what it was. Saying she's been trying to get her base out there. And then I think she went to the Karen Reed thing, or no, they were somewhere with their signs. And I think Turtle Boy seen them. I could be wrong. Somebody from Karen Reed. So good things are happening. There is a lot of exposure going on. This is the year. And let's look at this real quick. This is a statement from the PD of the officers. So let's listen. Oh, look at all these ads, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Yum, chicken parm with our Purdue chicken. No antibiotics ever. And is that homemade marinara?
Like those yahoos deserve it. Delicious chicken they may or may not deserve. Purdue.
My name is Chief Donna McNamara of the Stoughton Police Department. In order to be fully transparent, I am here publicly to disclose the results of an internal affairs investigation ordered by me, which uncovered serious misconduct on the part of former Stoughton police officers. What I'm about to brief you on is something deeply troubling to me as a human being and as a police chief. On February 4th, 2021, 23-year-old Sandra Birchmore was found deceased in her apartment in Canton. I am not here today to talk about the subsequent investigation into Ms. Birchmore's death. Her death was investigated by the Norfolk District Attorney's Office. What I am here to talk about today is her life and how she was failed by, manipulated by, and used by people of authority that she admired and trusted right up into her final days. Ms. Birchmore was a vulnerable person who had one constant in her life since childhood: her unwavering admiration of police officers, of those serving the military, people in uniform, people with oaths and duties to protect and serve. The admiration led her to form relationships with men who were willing to take advantage of her. The media has previously reported about Ms. Birchmore and her relationship with former Stoughton police officer Matthew Farwell. On February 5th, 2021, the day after Ms. Birchmore's death, I ordered Deputy Chief Brian Holmes to lead a full and complete internal investigation to determine what, if any, misconduct was committed by members of the Stoughton Police Department. The death of Ms. Birchmore and the subsequent inquiries into her life and death revealed a deeply disturbing pattern of behavior toward her. I'm here today because it is my duty, a duty that I take very seriously, to report to our community on the findings of a nearly 19-month-long, complex and resource-intensive investigation. This is my first and earliest opportunity to speak about this investigation, which has just finished and has been reviewed by counsel as recently as yesterday. The investigation, in which Deputy Chief employed the service of numerous outside private investigators and subject matter experts, has resulted in the following findings. 3 former members of the Stoughton Police Department, William Farwell, Matthew Farwell, and Robert Devine, were identified as the subjects of the Stoughton Police Department Internal Affairs case number 21-1-IA. The sustained finding involving Matthew Farwell were the following. Matthew Farwell, in violation of the Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, demonstrated conduct unbecoming an officer, failed to demonstrate sound judgment, was untruthful, and failed in his attention and devotion to duty. The sustained finding involving William Farwell are the following. William Farwell, in violation of Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, demonstrated conduct unbecoming an officer, failed to conform to laws, violated data entry policies, failed to demonstrate sound judgment, was untruthful, and failed in his attention and devotion to duty. The sustained finding of Robert Devine were the following. Robert Devine, in violation of Stoughton Police Department rules and regulations, failed to demonstrate sound judgment, was untruthful, and failed in his attention and devotion to duty. The facts of this case, after an attentive and complete investigation are as follows. In 2010, Miss Birchmore, then age 13, entered the Stoughton Police Department Explorer program. It was there as a child that she met Matthew Farwell, an instructor in that program. The evidence demonstrates that Matthew Farwell began an inappropriate relationship with her when she was 15 and he was 27. The investigation uncovered many hundreds of digital messages and explicit exchanges between Matthew Farwell and Miss Birchmore over the course of several years. The investigation continued from there. Evidence discovered determined that at least 3 Stoughton police officers, who were all known to each other, including Matthew Farwell, his twin brother William Farwell, had inappropriate relations with Miss Birchmore. The investigation showed that William Farwell, in addition to having multiple inappropriate physical encounters with Miss Birchmore, exchanged explicit messages and photographs with Miss Birchmore while he was on duty. The evidence suggests that William Farwell also, at the very least, attempted to introduce Miss Birchmore to other men. The evidence further showed that 2 others engaged in inappropriate relations with this young woman. Robert Devine, a former deputy chief of the Stoughton Police Department who had been previously demoted to patrol officer for abusing his power, and an individual who is now a police officer in another jurisdiction. Our investigation discovered that Matthew Farwell exploited Miss Birchmore, a young woman who was 13 when she met him, until Matthew Farwell decided to end the relationship on February 1st, 2021. According to Farwell, he went to her apartment to call off the relationship and engaged in what Matthew Farwell later called a pretty nasty argument. Miss Birchmore was found dead days later. Our investigation revealed this misconduct goes back even further. Devine was part of an after-school program at Stoughton Middle School, where he and other officers were in charge of several students without supervision from members of the school district. The investigation determined that Devine had inappropriate contact with a female student in that program. Robert Devine began overseeing the Stoughton Police Department Explorer program approximately 20 years ago. When he took over, he changed the program from a traditionally scouting program to a paramilitary style program that taught aspects of policing to youth participants. Both William and Matthew Farwell were youth participants in the Explorer program under Devine, and the Farwell brothers would later take part in that same program as instructors years later, which would put them all on a course to meet Sandra Birchmore. All 3 men, the Farwell brothers and Devine, violated their oaths of office and should never have the privilege of serving any community as a police officer. Through a sustained and deliberate combination of lies, deceit, and treachery, they violated the policies and the core values of the Stoughton Police Department, not to mention human decency. All 3 men have resigned from the Stoughton Police Department. And the conclusion of our investigation has been shared with a police chief in another community, where a fourth man associated with this investigation is currently employed. Our investigation also uncovered inappropriate communication between Ms. Birchmore and a military recruiter. And we are in the process of notifying the appropriate chain of command of our findings. In years prior, a story like this would have ended here, or perhaps even earlier. All three employees have resigned, and without criminal charges, no further actions would have been taken by a police department. Not today. For decades, police chiefs in Massachusetts have called upon the legislature to create a statewide certification program, and most critical in this moment, a decertification program. We finally have one. The creation of the Massachusetts Peace Officer Standards and Training Post Commission makes this announcement possible today. The investigation recommends, and I am today announcing the following actions. I have notified the Post Commission of the finding against all three former employees, Devine and the Farwell brothers. The Stoughton Police Department recommends, without delay, their certification to serve as police officers be permanently revoked. I've recommended to Post that all three individuals be immediately placed in the National Decertification Index, ensuring they never serve as police officers anywhere. The Stoughton Police Department submitted a copy of the investigative report to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office. Additionally, Stoughton Police Department Explorer Program, which has not operated for many years, has been formally disbanded. We take an oath to protect and serve our community and its people. You are held to a higher standard. These men violated their oaths, and they are unfit to serve as police officers. I stand before you today as a civil servant who is heartbroken and incensed by what has transpired, and who pledges to that this chapter in the Stoughton Police Department and the town of Stoughton is over. It must never repeat. The revolving door is closed. A person who wears a badge in this community will work to earn back the trust of our citizens. We will be trained and retrained on the meaning and the importance of our oath. Anyone who violates that sacred responsibility will be held accountable. I believe in lawful, fair, and impartial policing. And I believe in police officers. I believe in the police officers and the people that work at the Stoughton Police Department today. The men and women of this agency are good, hardworking people driven by their values more than just a set of rules. I can tell you that they share in my anger and outrage. Management and labor may not always agree on everything in the workplace, but when it comes to the things that matter most, our moral compasses could not be more aligned. This has been a long investigation involving nearly 100,000 pages of cell phone records, text messages, more than a dozen interviews, several outside experts, and countless hours were spent by Deputy Chief Holmes, who oversaw this complex and draining work. He did an extraordinary job under very difficult circumstances, pulling on every thread until the investigation reached its natural conclusion. Deputy Chief Holmes is to be commended for his work, and I can say, upon reviewing and accepting the results of his investigation, that the scope of this problem in our agency has been identified and pulled out by the roots. The police officers who serve this community are here for the right reasons and wish to serve Stoughton selflessly and with dignity. Please hold us to our word.
What do you guys? My heart is heavy. This case is affecting me. Oh, this poor girl. These guys are sick. Why are they not in prison? And he done it to more kids. What is going on? Can't trust no one. For real. I told my kids that. Trust nobody. Let me know if anything happens. You want to know why? You want to know why I think this is affecting me so much? Because of what happened to me from 4 years old on up. Yep. Okay. So justice for Sandra. I'm going to continue putting her face out there until something's done. I want to thank everybody who came through. Misty. I'd rather be wrong than right. Lauren. I think Maureen. Yep. And there's one more. Oh my God, I'm so sad. There was somebody else. Oh boy, who were you? Well, everybody, I should say. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go for now. I want to keep this under an hour. And I'd like to go through these documents because that Matthew guy, he didn't want to answer any questions. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much.